Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.
Significant development as far as legal education and professional training is concerned. Finally, maybe we should pop in some champagne to this. Hooray, it has happened. Legal education has now been expanded. How significant do you think this is? And are you also equally concerned that some critics of the bill have expressed that, look, we risk diluting and compromising quality? Yes, there are a lot more people are perhaps going to be trained as lawyers, but of what quality? You know, and that the bill is seeking to emphasize on just quantity, just churn them out. But what kind of lawyers are we going to be putting out? And I recall what the former president Nana Akufo-Addo once mentioned when this matter came up before him. I think as one of his lectures says, a badly trained lawyer is a danger to society. So when you look at the bill, have enough, mechanisms been built in there to ensure that whilst we're getting a lot more people to be trained, we're also getting them trained properly?
Well, thank you so very much, Umar, for inviting me to be part of this discussion. I remember when I was in Parliament, I was one of the champions for reforms of legal education. As ranking member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee then,
Sure.
I had occasion to meet students who had sat for the entrance examination, and less than 10% of them had passed. I had occasion to talk to students who had gotten first class in their universities. And this was not the University of Ghana, UPS, UPS then. And,
in fact, it used to be IPS.
IPS then, yes, IPS. And then Cape Coast. I mean, KNUST. I could not make it to the Ghana School of Law. Yeah. Valedictorians could not make it to the... you could not just understand. And so there was serious
elimination by rough tactics.
There was serious suspicion that something was happening.
Yes.
And they wanted openness, they wanted transparency, they wanted the examination board to be held accountable. Yes. They wanted to know the marking scheme. They wanted to know many things.
Yes.
And so, yes, so we then started thinking, how do you make that process accountable? How do you make that process transparent? How do you ensure that people who qualify to enter to read law are not denied by reason of space? Okay, how do you do that?
So space was the issue?
Space was the issue.
Not because the people were not qualified.
No, space was the issue. So when you have limited space, you have to manage the numbers. You have limited space. So it's not that the people were not qualified, but they could take only, at that time, they could take only about 100 and something students. Okay? And so you need a space. And so if we had 100 and 1,000 people applied to enter the School of Law, you needed to scale them down to 100.
Yeah.
That would mean you will have to eliminate them, some of them.
Yes,
okay? And then, so they expanded from Makola to University of Ghana, got some classrooms there to be able to provide access. Then they extended to Kumasi to be able to provide access, all to meet the challenge of space. Okay? Now, with space comes faculty. So when he spoke about it, when you expand, you're taking in more students. So you need faculty, you need library, you need teaching them aids, you need materials. So with that came challenges.
Wow.
Okay, so we needed to deal with the challenges. And I hear people say that we shouldn't sacrifice quality for quantity. The same thing. As politicians, we should really sacrifice visionless, politicians with vision, or politicians without vision. You can say it. You shouldn't sacrifice qualified doctors, okay? Intelligent, qualified, smart doctors for just doctors.
True.
Okay? And just like lawyers.
You can make the same argument for engineers.
Engineers. You can make the same argument. And let me tell you, and this argument is not new. In 1962, when the law school was to be established by President Nkrumah, there was an argument. The question was, what kind of lawyers is Ghana School of Law going to train?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's an old argument, flagged over time. And then it has come out, it has been proven that the Ghana School of Law churned out one of the best lawyers across the West African subcontinent. I mean, our products of the Ghana School of Law have become chief justices of many countries.
Yeah.
And so that has been the argument. I'm not saying that it's not a valid argument, but I'm saying that that's why we have systems. So you need to put in systems to ensure that the final product meets the reasonable and legitimate expectations of the people of Ghana. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And when you look at the 93 section bill, it attempts to do that. At any turn of the curve, it needs to do that. Now, what this bill is trying to do, my brother is from Janga.
Yes.
I'm from Tamale. He had to go to London. I had to travel to Accra. Okay? To be able to access legal education. Just two weeks ago, a minister of Accra said it was a punishment to be transferred to the north.
Yes.
You know why?
Yes.
Because of all the facilities that could get you realize yourself and be a contributing and useful member of this society residing in Accra. Think about it. The first Ghana Law School, where was it? The first medical school, the court systems. Think about it. So the whole thing was structured in such a way that we had to move. So this bill is not only dealing with equality issues, it's also dealing with equity.
And even migration issues.
Yeah, no, but that's equity.
Equity, exactly, yeah. So you can learn
Equity.
law
Wherever you are. Equity issues.
you don't have to come to Accra.
Accra. And again, you talk about doctors. When President Rawlings got his award and decided that he was going to establish the UDS, you had the argument.
Yeah.
And even the argument went through the roof when he said he was going to establish a medical school at UDS. Today, UDS doctors are one of the best doctors in this country. Their students are sharp. Macbeth said it in Shakespeare. It is the attempt and not the deed that confronts us. Because human nature is always, adverse to change, opposes change. We are always in our comfort zone. This is what we know. But this bill is going to address a fundamental problem of access.
It's not like a bill. It's not a law.
The law.
Yeah.
Fundamental problem of access. Well, District Assembly. How many lawyers are there? How many lawyers are there?
So we don't have enough lawyers in this country.
No. Tamale District Assembly. Tamale Metropolitan Assembly. How many lawyers are there? You mean they don't enter contracts? You mean they are not sued? How do they defend themselves?
Mm-hmm.
We need lawyers because this is a rule of law society.
Law is everything, isn't it?
Everything.
Law is everything.
Everything. So you need people to be able to have a full understanding of their responsibilities, duties, and rights. And for people to continue to remind those occupying offices that they have a duty to respect the rights of others. That impunity should not have a place in this country. That is the civilization that we are looking for. Nana Akufo-Addo ensuing in the former Chief Justice, Sophia Akufo said he was intent on bringing in a new civilization. This law is intent on bringing in a new culture or civilization. The normative culture is that law should not be a preserve of the few. It's a social science subject.
It's true, but to be able to do that, we need people to teach it. They're not there.
So that's what I said. That's the faculty.
They're not there.
Yeah, no, that's the faculty.
Yes.
So you need a comprehensive. That's why the general legal, the Council of Legal Education is going to be established.
But why do we have to replace the Ghana General Legal Council with this new council? What difference is that going to make?
Well, the whole difference is in the structure that we are establishing.
Okay.
Independent body that controls the training of lawyers in this country, sets the standard, establishes the curriculum, supervises the institutions, accredited institutions, and ensures that through the chain of production, quality is not sacrificed.
We can reform the General Legal Council. We don't have to rename it.
Well, so you want the General Legal
To
Council,
stay, but just
the
reform.
General Legal, but that's a reform. What we are
Yes.
doing is a reform.
No, we've renamed it.
No, what we are doing is a reform.
Essentially, GLC is dead.
Yes, it's dead. It's dead.
Yes, we didn't have to kill it. We just have to reform it.
No. So it becomes a regulatory body as well.
Yeah.
You mean a GLC?
Yes.
No, but they can't. They
can't be a GLC,
Okay.
okay? But they become a part of the regulatory institutions.
But there won't be anything like GLC anymore. Once this new.
But there's not going to be a school.
Ah, well, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's what we have about GLC. That's true.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a
No,
school.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So,
That's true.
so you know, for the past, in the past,
That's why I say
you
it
did-
fit well within the English legal, legal education. So
Actually,
they would-
actually,
so
it's actually a hybrid.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
Explain.
Look, so you have the chambers, the firms. In Ghana, we call them firms.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the UK, they call them inns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the firms will play a critical role in the training, practical training of lawyers. And before you can qualify to sit for an examination to qualify to the Ghana bar, you need to show evidence of having gone through the practical training. And that
Well, that's
training,
interesting.
yes, and that training will be given by a firm. So that's the aim.
No, there are inns and there are still chambers.
So that's so
The
that's
inn is provide like disciplinary
okay.
for the lawyers.
So
yeah.
so the American system,
Yeah.
just like the Ghana Medical Association or
Well,
General Medical Council.
General Medical Council.
Dental and Medical Council.
Dental
Yes.
Medical.
Which is not headed by Professor Bidu Akosa.
Good.
Yeah.
So the American system, wherever you train, at the end of your training, and the universities can deliver courses in evidence, in criminal procedure, in civil procedure, in all the courses that you require, including the ethics. The universities can deliver.
Okay.
And he's teaching at the university. He can deliver those courses.
Right.
He's a lawyer. Right. He can deliver those courses. Now, so when a person gets his LLB and then enrolls for the professional training, that person is taken through a prescribed course at any of the accredited universities. After the prescribed course, he does 1 year mandatory practical training. Pupillage. We will call pupillage at the firm.
Before you're called to the bar.
No.
You're called before you do it.
Oh, you're called to the bar before you do your pupillage.
Okay. Now, but even in this case, because when you get called to the bar by the new law, it will be difficult to track whether or not you were doing pupillage.
Okay.
So after your training, you will do a mandatory practical training with the firms.
Okay.
You'll be issued with a certificate of completion of the training, and then you are now eligible to sit for the national bar examination.
I see.
So when you sit for the national bar examination and you are successful, you are a lawyer.
This is very interesting.
Yes, revolutionary.
Very, and
Yeah.
and it's a game changer. Actually,
Yeah.
this is massive.
So that my people in the north, UDS has established a faculty. It's for training lawyers. Its students used to come to Kumasi or Accra for professional law.
You don't have to
training.
do that
They
anymore.
don't have to do that. The faculty in UDS will just be expanded to include lecturers who can deliver the subjects that will entitle you to write the General Bar Association, then the National Bar Examination. That's how it should be. And that's how it is going to be. So the first major important step after the passage of this law is the establishment of the council, because that becomes the alter ego of all that we are going to do. They will shepherd, monitor, supervise, implement the requirements of this law. And you look at the membership drawn from the courts, from the Attorney General's Department, from the Ministry of Education, from lawyers, even making room for junior lawyers. A junior lawyer is a lawyer who is less than 10 years at the bar to be part of the council, nominated by the Ghana Bar Association. Now, any contributory institution to the Council for Legal Education nominates its members. So it's not like the president is going to, or the Attorney General is going to sit in his chambers and then nominate people for the Council for Legal Education. Okay.
Do you think that, and again, I'm asking this because I don't know whether that's what happened, but there were talks about the Ghana Bar Association being very, very instrumental in the drafting of this bill. I don't know whether that has happened. But the whole idea that the Ghana Bar Association must be at the forefront of these reforms, I don't know whether that it's actually a valid argument.
Everybody was concerned. Because Nko used to write.
Oh, he's a happy man. Yesterday, he was all over the place. He's even sent me some messages.
When I was a ranking member, he met my committee several times. Look, Inusah.
It's something's on his heart. It's on his heart.
It's a tragedy. How can over 1,000 people write an examination and 180 will pass? It's not an indictment on the lecturers who taught them. There's a cardinal sin. He used to use all manner of words to describe what was happening. And we thought it was possible to do something like this. Now we have to invest our time, interest, knowledge, and experience. And 2 days ago, I was reading an innovative pedagogy by Clara T.
Yes,
Kasaberi, on how to combine the students from other faculties, disciplines, and students who are pursuing law, bring them together, expose them to real life situations, see how they deal with the legitimate expectations of people they will represent in future. Do they even understand the issues confronting the people for which their services are needed? Is law going to, and law is now becoming more interdisciplinary, especially after the opening up of the faculties, and then making law a first degree program. Okay, it became more interdisciplinary. We were privileged. I just went to the university to read law. Okay, and straight after Legon, I didn't have to write any examination.
Right.
And that's what the students are celebrating.
Because you were few.
But no, the thing was that your right to law school was determined in your first year.
Oh, okay.
So first year, they took about 100 and over students. And they needed only 40 to read LLB and 20 to combine BA law. Now they don't even do BA law. Okay. And so, and you were ranked by merit. Okay, depending on your grade point average. Grade cumulative point average or cumulative grade point average. I've forgotten how it is. Now, so you were ranked the first 40. You are going to offer LLB. LLB included doing public international law. Okay. Now, then a conflict of laws. Then BA, you will not have opportunity to do international law and conflict of laws. Okay, and then, but you all sat in class for all the other subjects.
Right.
And then after after first year, when you get into the second year and the third year, Even if you had a pass at the end of the 3 years,
Okay.
you were qualified to go to the law school.
Right.
If you had a third class, you were qualified to go to the law school.
Yeah.
Let me read this, and I'll pick your thoughts on this, and that perhaps should round this up for us so that we move to our next topic. Now, when you look at the law, the combined provisions of clauses 3, 19, 34, 62, 70, 74, 81 place regulatory, operational, and quasi-judicial functions within a single institutional framework. Now, even in smaller jurisdictions, international best practice generally separates accreditation, examination, and appeals function to avoid both actual and perceived conflicts of interest. Now, the current structure creates a situation in which the council establishes standards, accredits universities, appoints members to the examination committee, and simultaneously funds the tribunal responsible for hearing appeals against its own decisions. This concentration of regulatory, supervisory, and financial control raises legitimate concerns regarding institutional fairness and appearance of independence. Now, somebody says to safeguard adjudicatory autonomy and public confidence, the tribunal should be financially and administratively insulated from the council. One viable approach is to place the tribunal under the administrative oversight of the judicial service for budgetary and logistical purposes only, with funding provided through the judicial allocation rather than the council's budget. Such an arrangement would reinforce structural independence, prevent financial independence on the body whose decisions are under review, and better align the appellate mechanism with the principles of administrative justice and the separation of powers. I've been reading this since yesterday. I'm trying to get the two of you to help me understand what is this author, what argument is this author trying to make in terms of how this whole thing is going to work structurally? You know, what's your understanding of what the person's concerns are?
Okay, I've listened to you. I think I don't really fully understand it, but what I can say is it's like the previous General Legal Counsel was responsible for doing all those things he's complaining about. So they more or less regulate the body, and they also have input as to who were recruited into the Ghana School of Law.
Right.
And examination too, they were the same body. And when it comes to even students being referred for you to rewrite or disciplinary, they were part of it. I think he just called it for more or less separation of powers, said that there would not be conflicts between it as part of the reforms. I mean, separation of powers is always important. So, as I said, that's why when I look at your sub-headlines, it's like you made me appear to be like I'm against the reform that is being done. No, I'm not really against the reform.
Which is a
but
fact,
I'm just cautioning about the dangers. So I'm not sure. My big brother didn't look at that particular aspect.
Okay.
I was just comparing it like, if you do not regulate the providers very well, instead of you really increasing access, you actually block access because of the cost element. So maybe government may need to subsidize them or regulate as to how much you can charge. Because if we are moving away from the American system to the British system, the British system is equally very expensive, thereby blocking access. So that was what I was just cautioning.
Okay.
So separation is always good.
A good thing.
Yes. So especially, but I'm not sure that all of them, is it going to be set by the Ghana, the examination, is it going to be external examined?
Yes.
Because things like conference, advocacy, and co, maybe that they'll probably decentralize it to the faculty.
Okay.
Or are they going to be centrally examined elsewhere?
So here's the thing.
Okay.
This is what the author is saying.
Okay.
He says, under the current structure, as the bill is now,
Yes.
for him, it creates a situation where okay, let me
Who is this author? Maybe you need to
let me
tell
tell you who this person is. I'll tell you who this person is. It's called Dr. A.M. Mashoud.
Okay.
Dr. A.M. Mashoud.
Mashoud,
Yes.
okay.
Now he says that, and I'm going to bring it back again. I want to see whether you agree with him. Now, he thinks that there's a concentration of regulatory, operational, and adjudicatory powers in the new body that's going to be established, which is going to represent the GLC. Now, he's reading of clauses 3, 19, 34, 62, 70, 74 to 81. He thinks that it places regulatory, operational, and quasi-judiciary functions within a single institutional framework.
Okay.
Now, he thinks that this can create an actual or perceived conflict of interest, and that the current structure creates a situation in which the council establishes standards, which the GLC used to do, accredits universities, but also appoints members to the examination committee and simultaneously funds the tribunal responsible for hearing appeals against its own decisions.
Okay.
You're funding tribunals that should be appealing.
You're
so
being
if I
a
have
judge
problem,
of your own
I go to
matter.
the council, I have a problem,
Yeah.
but you're funding the tribunal that's supposed to hear my problems.
Okay.
Now, they said you have a problem with that.
There's a danger, yes.
Good. Now, it says the
Obviously.
concentration of regulatory, supervisory, and financial control of the tribunals, funding of the tribunals, raises legitimate concerns regarding institutional fairness. Would you be fair to the person who's appealing to you? And the appearance of independence. Now, he thinks that to safeguard this adjudicatory autonomy and public confidence in persons who may want to appeal to them for all kinds of things, the tribunal should be financially and administratively insulated from the council, the new council which is going to be formed. Now, he thinks that one viable approach is to place the tribunal under the administrative oversight of the judicial service for budgetary and logistical purposes only, with funding provided through the judicial allocation rather than the council's budget. So the council has nothing to do with funding.
Umar,
yes, that's the person's argument. I don't know whether it's
Umar, I disagree.
You disagree
with
entirely,
him.
okay.
First of all, he said that it looks like the regulatory, supervisory, and finance
have all been given to one body.
So the regulatory, supervisory functions are the same.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
They are the same functions. Now, and because they are regulatory functions, you need to fund them.
Absolutely.
There's work to be done.
Yes.
So you need money to do that work.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So that is why the bill talks about how monies can go to them. Okay? By parliamentary allocations,
Yes.
By loans they can take from the bank. So you need, by gifts and whatnot. So you need to fund it.
Right.
This system that is being put in place must be funded. Two.
In fact, that's why the finance minister was there.
Yeah, it must be funded.
Yes.
Now, two. This is an internal mechanism. And every institution established by law will have an internal process of dispute resolution.
Right.
Every institution. That's why when you go to court without exhausting the internal dispute resolution mechanism within the law, the court will direct you to go back and exhaust that, that opportunity given you.
Okay.
To be able, before, if you fail, if the dispute resolution mechanism fails to do that, then you can escalate the problem. So the tribunal is an internal dispute resolution mechanism as part of this new act. So a person, and there are processes you have to go through. A person who is dissatisfied with the decision of the tribunal is not foreclosed. You can go to court. You go to the High Court.
But to make it more independence, why do we hand over the appointment of persons onto the tribunal by this same council which is going to be formed?
Well, you think that the council will appoint people who will sit down and do their bidding?
That's the fear.
No, that's a perception.
Okay.
It's not a fear because nothing has manifested that. Okay?
Right.
So that's a perception. But that perception is not founded. It's just like saying that, well, if a president appoints you to the bench,
Or a judge
will
do the bidding of the president or an electoral commission.
Or the electoral commission. No, it's a internal dispute mechanism. And I don't know of any law of this nature which might bring about contentions which will not have as a primary source of dispute resolution a mechanism that will internally deal with issues that arise before you send it to court.
Can we deal with this prejudice by getting another body to appoint these persons onto the tribunal?
So what will be your basis for even establishing that there's prejudice?
Because of the persons who...
Because it's a perception. It's a perception. Because, first of all, This
But that
this
perception
act
is grounded.
This act was signed only yesterday.
Yes.
It's not yet fully operational. I heard the Attorney General say that the first major activity under this act will be the composition or establishment of the council.
Mm-hmm.
So it is the council which will, when established, which will do all the necessary things under the act, which will implement the act. Okay, and that becomes the board, the alter ego of the institution.
Yeah.
Now, so on what basis are we already reading prejudice?
Okay. The other issue is this. So next month, there's a new bar entrance which is going to be written.
Yes.
What is going to happen to that?
They were right.
You're right. So they are within the transition period.
Yeah, that's why there's a section 93 in the bill.
Yeah. Okay. How do you suppose the transition is going to be like? Which is from the old model to the new model?
So those who are doing the professional courses
will continue to do that.
Those who are in third year, there's no general legal council. I mean, there's no Ghana the Council of Legal Education.
Yes.
Does not exist now. And people are writing their exams to move to to do the professional courses. Okay. They have to. You can truncate the process.
Yes.
So who gets to benefit from this new law, this new policy?
New entrance.
Yeah.
Because there will still be even a backlog. There are some people who may not pass the exam straight away. So you need to have a system, just like the old system.
Okay.
You remember when we have O levels
and
a new educational system?
SS.
So they will, you have to allow them the opportunity to go through.
It will be unfair to say that, those who are now going through the professional course, they should wait. They won't write the entrance, the examination to be called to the bar, the professional examination, until the establishment of the national examination.
That's true. That would not be fair to them. Yeah. That won't be fair to them.
But I think we shouldn't leave the transition to only announcement. Okay. Resources will need to be provided.
Yes.
Some of the faculties.
Extremely important.
Yes. So I'm not bragging. Places like UPSA, it seems we already have the facility.
Okay.
Remember, we have a student center that is already renting out to the Ghana School of Law.
Yes.
And I think last year we also commissioned a witch court.
That's why.
Nevertheless, the books and other things, we need to really emphasize it.
Right.
Having a building may not be enough. The resources that will need to be provided.
Right. You know, so when I was ranking member, then we were talking. Justice Duce came to us, and then he was talking about the problems that they had encountered in trying to deal with the backlog of lawyers who were applying to get to the law school. And you know what? He spoke of a case where people were doing law as part-time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were running law as if it was remedial examination. In some middle school buildings where they meet in the evenings and you can't run law like that. Law is a jealous profession. I think you know that.
Yeah.
You can combine it with anything.
Yeah.
You understand?
Full time.
Yes. And if you don't want to compromise quality, that's what you do. You ensure that there's faculty, that people like Ishak and others are there to teach. And then you continuously, send them through what do they call it? In-service training or what do you call it?
In-service training?
Yes.
Or refresher courses?
Refresher courses, whatever. Give them opportunity because new ideas are coming up. And then there must be a minimum standard for all the accredited institutions to meet. Minimum. When we walk into your library, we must see all the law books.
I just hope that we have the requisite quality assurance mechanisms to check what you're saying.
Yes.
Which is the minimum.
Yes. The students must not be struggling to read law books. And then you must have the soft copies available.
And allow me the opportunity because of the soft copies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I took some of my students to the American Embassy to access a lecture by a professor from University of Alabama.
Okay.
It was quite interesting. They actually have a library attached to the embassy.
Okay.
And they're happy to see members of the public, especially people from law faculties, to also come to the center.
Right.
And they have access, so I think they say more than 20,000 e-books.
E-books,
you can come and access. So when you come over there, they would you take your mobile phone and scan a particular code that will allow you to register online.
Yeah.
And you have access to a lot of books. And the American Embassy is happy to do that. So we have to say thank you to them.
Yeah,
But we
even-
cannot talk about legal reform without commending two particular people.
Okay.
Martin Opoku Prempeh had done very well when he was the director of Ghana School of Law in expanding legal education. In
Which
fact,
was Poku Prempeh? You mean
Opoko.
yes.
who's that?
So
You mean the
he was a lecturer, evidence lecturer.
He was
at
a
the Ghana
lecturer.
School of
Yeah, he
Law.
was a
Okay,
lecturer.
okay.
Briefly,
I was
yes.
confusing
The one who was
Yes.
the one who sent the petition to remove.
Oh, Maxwell.
Maxwell, yes, sorry.
Maxwell Poku, yes.
Maxwell
yes,
Opoku
He sent the
Prempeh.
petition to
Yes.
remove.
So he was my evidence lecturer. Yes. So he did very well when it comes to expanding legal
Maxwell
education.
Opoku, yes, yes.
And Yao Opong as well when he was
Yao
became.
Opong. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Yao
Yeah.
did very
He used
well.
to be the head of the.
Yes, he's now at the
Ghana
Court of
School of Law
Appeal.
or something.
Huh?
He used to be the head of the Ghana School of Law, isn't he?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
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 yes.
yes.
But
And
he's not
director
more.
of legal education.
He's not director of legal education.
Yes, so it's now Raymond
Atuba.
Yes,
is
Professor
now
Raymond Atuba
the
is taking
current
over.
director. But he did very well. I think he's now at the Court of Appeal as a judge.
As a judge.
So these
that's
two
Yao Opong.
individuals, yes,
Opong,
Yao
yeah,
Opong.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Oh, he was one of those who was appointed by Nanado before Nanado left office.
I
yes,
think
yes.
so.
Yes,
Yes,
he was one of
yes,
those who was
yes.
appointed.
I mean, but he's a brilliant guy. He
he's
taught
a-
me constitutional law,
Okay.
and I think he deserves to be where he is.
You know him personally?
Oh, he was my mate.
Oh,
Okay. Yes, very brilliant. I mean, he's an author of two good books,
Yes.
Land Law. I mean, if you read his Land Law
So
book,
you see, I can't comment. He's my good friend too.
Otto is conflicted.
okay. Why do you have?
what is
May I personally can tell you?
They count the matter inside.
Okay. No, but what I'm saying that these
Yes.
people have really increased the numbers.
Okay.
While the Ghana School of Law were taking about 200, 300, they came to increase the number to 1,000 by contracting with places like UPSA and other private facilities to increase the numbers. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to some other issues and
But son,
more.
less Moro. Son.
Yes.
Moro. Every Moro is under.
Yes, more than that.
More
Yes.
sense.
Yeah, every Moro is under. Now,
It's a compound.
let's not. Let's
What
not.
does Sanda have in mind?
No,
I
that's
don't
a,
want it to be called
no.
Sanda.
You see, the thing is that that's a
Okay.
backup.
Okay.
That's a title.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
for Moros.
Compounding.
Now, let's not take away from the conversation. I agree with Ishak that this requires that we address and focus our attention on the matters that will derogate from quality issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree that the finance minister must release resources for the establishment of this innovative attempt to deal with matters of equality and equity in the provision of legal education.
Right.
Now, all the accredited institutions have to do their bit to ensure that if you want to provide that service, you otherwise meet the standards stipulated in the law. There are no shortcuts, and citizens' action is also very important. Students who will enroll in those institutions, after their enrollment, if they face challenges in assessing educational material,
Yeah.
in the quality of their lecturers or tutors, they need to escalate. So there must be a complaint secretariat as part of the regulatory supervisory functions of the Council for Legal Education to deal with those issues.
Yeah.
Because we can't fail in this matter. And I just hope that one day in Wale,
Okay.
one day in Bolga, people will go to school there,
Okay.
write the examination there, and are called to the bar and practice there without coming to Accra.
Okay. All right. So, gentlemen, I want us to look at some other issues. We just have about some 15 minutes to look at this issue. So we'll try and be as brief as we can. But Lois, do we have I think it's this one, we play the finance minister's video on the value for money office, which is now a new creation, which of course backed by law, it was accented to by the president yesterday. Shall we play Kessel Atoforce's video? I think it's just a minute or two, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Yes.
The leadership of the Value for Money Office.
The two President John Dramani Mahama has signed into law the Legal Education Reform Bill 2025, paving the way for accredited universities to offer professional legal training programs in Ghana. For more than 6 decades, the Ghana School of Law remained the sole institution mandated to train students for the Ghana Bar. The new law is expected to ease pressure on the existing system and improve access to professional legal education for qualified law graduates across the country.
And ensure the highest standards in terms of legal education, but also to open up the space, for more opportunity for legal education in Ghana. This particular act has been one that many aspiring lawyers have been looking up to. So it's been signed.
As a result of the fact that presidential assent has been given to the law, we are now ready for implementation. Immediate implementation will start with the establishment of the Council for Legal Education, which is the body that will oversee legal education in the country. We'll also start the process of accreditation of the law schools that will be running the law practice course for those who have LLBs and desire to write the bar exam. All of that will start this year. We'll be making budgetary provision for the implementation in the 2027 budget.
The president also signed the Value for Money Office Act into law. Government says the new office will help curb inflated public contracts and ensure greater efficiency in public sector spending.
This office will review procurement and make sure that Ghana gets value for money. It would end the issue of inflated contracts. Also, source contracts will go to the Value for Money Office, and all contracts above a certain value will go to the Value for Money Office to make sure that Ghana is getting value for every CD that we spend.
Speaking after the signing ceremony, Finance Minister Kessel Atoforce noted all single-source procurement processes will now be subjected to strict value for money assessments by the new office.
I want to use this opportunity to assure the people of Ghana that the menace of public sector padding of contracts and overinflation of contracts will be curtailed by this signature. What we seek to do is to use the next 6 months to properly constitute the office, nominate the leadership of the Value for Money Office.
The two new laws are expected to significantly reshape legal education and public financial accountability in Ghana.
All right, so we're talking about the Value for Money Office Bill, which was also accepted, is now law. But before I bring my guests to share their thoughts on this matter, let me inform you that you can discover MNC Group, your #1 partner in minerals and food commodity trading, real estate development, general logistics, procurement management consultancy, investment, advisory, import and export, with headquarters in East Legon, Accra, Ghana. MNC Group has offices in Dubai, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China. They also have an office in South Africa, and that's Johannesburg more specifically. They are also in Virginia, in USA, Arezzo in Italy, and Hanover, Germany. Now, MNC Group connect markets that drive business growth with tailor-made solutions to meet your needs. So trust us and maximize your value in every deal. Reach us on MNC Group at mncgroupgh.com or call 0302 998 246 or 026 5505 337 or 056 103 2252. MNC Group, totally reliant. All right. Let me also say that the Good Morning Ghana program is brought to you in collaboration with AH Cafe. AH Cafe, they serve one of the, if perhaps the best, some shows, but also affordable meals in this part of town. So you can just drive to the premises of Metro TV or the Ignite Media Group, and you see them there. You see lots of people sitting there and having a lot of fun, because the ambience is absolutely amazing. It's just that the food they serve, it's also the ambience. Very beautiful ladies, a beautiful, handsome men who would attend to you when you come over here. And so it's a full package. So catch them anytime you have some time, lunch, breakfast, and perhaps even dinner. Now, gentlemen, I want us to look at this office for a value for money office bill, which has also been accepted into law by the president yesterday. And we can just do this briefly, just 5 minutes each, and then we can, because I intend to talk to our senior sports reporter here on the World Cup. We want to see what Metro TV is doing in terms of what our preparations are like for the upcoming World Cup Mundial. So they also briefing the media. So this is the Daily Graphic. Also briefing the media after the assent to the value for money office bill. Dr. Fuseini said the new law would ensure that single source procurement arrangements were subjected to rigorous scrutiny. That means going into the future, the Republic of Ghana and the Government of Ghana will curtail public sector expenditure that has actually risen as a result of inflation of government contracts. Explaining the operational framework, Dr. Fuseini said what we seek to do going into the future will be that it will set up the office and all single source procurements will have to go through the office for value for money. You know, this bill was not supported by the minority in parliament, and they raised the fundamental issue of the fact that the procurement office should be able to do this. You don't need to set up a new value for the procurement, the public procurement office should be able to do this.
Yeah.
And that you don't need to set up another office. They think it's their health. In their view, it's a matter of duplication. And so it's a waste of public resources as far as they're concerned, and so they can't be part of this. So this was passed mainly by the majority in Parliament. Yeah. Let me start with you, Honorable Inusah. We're doing just 5 minutes each, and we can wrap up on this.
Thank you, Umar. But before, I made a fundamental error, and I want to correct it when I said the Ghana School of Law doesn't exist.
Okay.
Now, the Ghana School of Law exists under the law, not as it is now, currently.
So I'll beg you, let's please take a break. The sports conversation is not going to come again, so we still have some more time. So let's take a quick break. We still have more time. Yes, we have about 10 more minutes. Okay. Not just 10. So now 20 minutes. Okay. Yes, so that you can correct the error you made, and then we can continue with that. So please stay with us. This is Good Morning Ghana.
I'm not PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.